Hi, I'm Caitlin. I have cancer. It kind of sucks. It's always going to suck if you have to say those words, that I have cancer. It sucks completely for me as well. I mean, it sucks for everybody for so many reasons. But for me, I'm also a mum. I have two teenagers, Jonty and Trent, and I have three 11-year-olds, triplets, Imogen, Jaden, and Toby. So when you have cancer and you're a mum, it makes life particularly chaotic, particularly horrible, particularly challenging, all of the things. Hearing the words, "it's cancer," was bad enough. I didn't want to hear the other words that came with it. It's rare, it's aggressive, it's metastasized, it's in your lungs, it's in your lymph nodes, it's incurable. You particularly don't want to hear it when you're only in your 40s, which for some people, some people might feel old, but for me, it feels too young to be contemplating what life will look like without you. This vlog is my chronicles of this journey called cancer. Hi, I'm Caitlin. I have cancer. 3 words you don't want to say, you don't want to hear. For me, I heard those 3 words that I didn't want to hear, and then I kept hearing other words that I didn't want to hear. Words like, it's a rare cancer. It's an aggressive cancer. The cancer has metastasized. The cancer is incurable. Words especially you don't want to hear when you're in your 40s. I guess when in your 20s, that feels really old. When you're in your 40s, it doesn't feel so old. Especially when you've got 5 children and a husband, a loving extended family and support network of beautiful friends, that you don't want to consider what life will be like for all of them without you. I just want to be here, enjoying it, enjoying life with everybody. Instead, I'm stuck on this journey with cancer, and so I wanted to make a vlog chronicling some of my journey with cancer. So welcome. Hey, that was past Caitlin. Here is present Caitlin. As you can see, I have hair grown back since that video was made. I am telling my story, but I have started telling the story in the past, and it got too hard for me. I was having trouble with phone storage and laptop storage, and I couldn't work it out, and I kept making videos but not putting them together and editing them. And I've just thought the day has come where I need to try and get something started. I had been vlogging over at Caitlin's Happy Heart, so if anyone's come from there, hello, thank you. Please like and subscribe this new channel. I was just finding I was getting a mixed audience because I did have videos there from way back when I had the triplets. So I thought that I would make this more accessible to the cancer community, and hopefully we can be helpful to one another, and I'm easier to find on this particular vlog platform. Yeah, so I've kind of taken all my videos. I wasn't happy with sound quality and different things in them, and I was thinking, oh, I want to do better. And also I thought it was nice to include what I did look like when I was doing chemo, and I've got some with me with the short curly hair, which I love and really miss. And I did have one way back when I had long hair at the start, but I just I cannot work out how to get that through to my Apple computer from my old PC. It's just too much for my non-tech mind. I just had my 13-year-old. I told him he can become my producer, set up the camera here. So that's really nice to get some help, because I'm just a Gen Xer that doesn't know what she's doing entirely. Yes.
Hey, Mum.
Hang on.
Where are you?
I'm making a video.
Okay. So you know how we were talking about how strong my guys.
Sit on my lap.
Hey guys, I was jumping this and the wheel fell off, and that's a three-wheeled bike. If I could get a conversion there, but that would make this wheel a lot faster, Mum. Wait up.
Show the wheel that fell off.
There it is. And
no,
it still spins.
Ah.
Right? It can spin. Oh, it's running out of battery. And it's a fast remote control car. It's last 3 years.
Okay. I guess every chronicle probably should start with the backstory. So this is the backstory of my journey with the cancer. Back in 2017, my youngest went to school. I had known that I needed a back operation, and my husband and I had decided that we would wait until the triplets got into school, and then we would have a big year. I could do my back operation, I could recover, and then I could get back into my work life. I'm a teacher by trade. So we had that all scheduled in February 2017. I went in and I had 2 platinum rods put in my spine to help fix up scoliosis, which was a curvature of the spine. I'd had a lot of disintegration and I really needed that operation. So the operation went well. It was a big operation and I was in ICU for about the first 4 or 5 days after the operation. And while I was in ICU, I had a routine check of an x-ray on my lungs. And when the x-ray came back, my surgeon looked and he thought there's something not right. It looks like there's some organs in the wrong place, which there had been because of my scoliosis, but he knew that he'd put everything back in the right place. So he thought, I don't understand what's happening. So a team of specialists looked at it, and it took quite a while for them to work it out, but in the end they thought it was probably either a thymoma, a tumour in my thymic gland right under my breastbone in my chest, or thymic cancer. They said you don't want to have the thymic melanin. You don't want to have the thymic carcinoma. It would be much better if it's a thymoma. I did a biopsy, it came back it was a thymoma. I was so relieved. But it was still very close to my heart. It was in a dangerous position. It was slow growing, but it was growing. We needed to have an operation to get it out. So even though I just had major spinal surgery, I waited 6 weeks because I couldn't have surgery straight away. I waited 6 weeks and then I went in to get the thymoma out. That's when the cancer story started. Probably a day or two after I was in ICU again, after I had the thymoma taken out, my surgeon, my cardiologist, Dr. Hart, my cardiologist, isn't that? Since we've just had interruptions, this is producer T-Star, as he was called in my blog way back in the day. Yes, so my 13-year-old Trent, who's been very helpful.
Yeah, I'm like the tech guy, I guess.
Yeah, you are. This is very useful. Up to the story, and I don't think I've got footage further telling. I think I was in the room, and I got a little bit stuck on Dr. Hart, and because I don't think he's called a cardiologist, but I can't remember what he's called, a cardiovascular surgeon perhaps. I don't know, but I just think it's so cool that I've got a Dr. Hart who worked in the center of my chest where my heart was. So Dr. Hart came, sat there and said that when they opened me up doing open chest surgery, stenectomy, it wasn't what they expected. It was a big mess. There was thymoma was wrapped around everything and really hard to get off. And when it went to the lab, even though the biopsy had said it was a benign thymoma, it wasn't. It was cancerous. And they actually, he told me later that they sent back, they went back to my original labs because they couldn't work out, because almost the whole tumor had cancerous or precancerous cells, but they just ended up pulling out one that wasn't cancerous, which turned out pretty good really, because I didn't have to worry about cancer for 6 weeks while I was waiting for the second operation. So there was still a bit of tumor. He couldn't pull off an artery because it would be too dangerous. So he thought that there was good margins and things would probably be good, but we just did a mop-up chemo and radiation, and I thought that would be it. I thought that would be my cancer journey. And then it came back in 2019. 2019, I had a scan and discovered it was back. It was really a really big shock. I really thought that the cancer journey was just going to be a little blimp in my life, a story that I could just say, I got over that, I'm a survivor. I thought that we'd caught it early. There was only 10% of the tumour with full B3 cells in it. I really thought that doing the mop-up of the chemo afterwards, it would be fine. The thing with thymic carcinoma is, once it comes back though, it really is quite aggressive at not staying away. It will just keep coming back. It is a slow growing cancer, so even though it's aggressive, it's slow growing. So I've got time on my side, and it will be somewhat responsive to treatment. I'm finding that chemo, not so much. Radiation, yes. When the cancer came back, I'd gone to my doctor, and he had, just checking nobody's arriving there. I'd gone to my doctor and I'd had just a standard scan, and he'd said, oh look, there's some little shadows on your lungs there. I want to get that checked out more. I don't know what it is. Really, he kind of did know what it was. And it did turn out to be what he suspected, and he did say later that it was a classic movement for thymic carcinoma to move straight to metastasize into the lungs. When we did the PET scan, because that was just a CT scan, because all in Australia for thymic carcinoma to be covered under Medicare, it's only covered for CT scans. Since this point, I have not had another CT scan just to check progress, because the CT scans don't show enough information for this particular cancer. Because when we got the PET scan back, it was all lit up in that center part of the of where the thymic carcinoma grows, in the center of my chest under my breastbone, but the CTs don't pick that up. So we knew that it was into my lymph nodes and in my lungs and in that position in my chest, which is also near my heart again. So pretty much that sucked. It also just really annoyingly happened when I just got a contract at my children's school. It was really great teaching at my children's school. I was teaching my son. I really enjoyed that. Everything was seeming to go really well. Starting to get back my career back and my life back. And then cancer just interrupted everything again. And in the end, I just had too many medical things going on, and I had to let that contract go and focus on my health and remaining strong there for my family. So we finished the year, and just trying to remember what happened then. Then I went and started chemo, I think, after that. Is it chemo? No, radiation. No, Keytruda. That's it. Big story. It's funny how you forget little details, but you don't forget the whole thing. So yes, I went on to Keytruda. So my doctor had said there was a new immunotherapy out there. Instead of just using chemotherapy, it has had really great result with melanoma patients, and it also had been quite successful with a lot of lung cancer patients. So, and there has been quite a few cases of people having success with it with thymic carcinoma. So we thought we'd give it a go, of course, and it immediately had a really good effect. The drawback was once again, because it's a rare cancer, and those people watching from Australia, our national healthcare system didn't cover the Keytruda for me, because the rare cancer didn't have enough documentation, because we don't have enough documentation about thymic carcinoma anyway. It didn't have enough documentation to prove to the government that it was going to be highly successful. So even though I had it on my lung, and if I was a lung cancer patient, I would have got it for free. If I had a melanoma, I would have got it for free. But for thymic carcinoma, I ended up having to pay $60,000, which was a huge strain on our bank account. We were very blessed that we had that money in saving. We'd saved it up for a particular thing, so we just kissed that goodbye and spent it on my health, which I'm really grateful for my husband that he had the money and that he did that for me, because sometimes you think, I can't believe we spent that much money just on me. I mean, we could have done so much with it. But anyway, God was good still. God was good. And even like some of that money was supposed to go for a new car, and we were still able to upgrade our car. Bit different to what we would have, but we were still able to do it. So God's good, and he provides, and we're fortunate and we're blessed. I mean, anyway, that's a bit different there. So we went to Keytruda, and I was doing that every 3 months. It's a really nice treatment to be doing because you don't get many side effects. I've now been on this for, I think it's going on 3 years. Getting a bit more side effects from it. Like, I do get fatigued. I do get blurry eyes. That bothers me sometimes. It can take a while before my eyes can focus, and first thing in the morning I often can't see words when I'm trying to read. But anyway, I'll take it, and I can get joint pain and that type of thing from the Keytruda. But really, it's pretty easy going. So, and I don't have compromised immune system. So that's really good. It just stimulates your immune system to fight specifically cancer. And at first it was working. The cancer started shrinking. And then funnily enough, it was the thymic carcinoma that responded to the Keytruda and started shrinking, which is what the government wouldn't pay for. Yet the lung cancer, whereas if I was a lung cancer patient, it would have been paid for, the lung cancer started growing again. So at that point, we had to move on to doing some stereotactic, some really targeted radiation. I had been traveling down to Brisbane to do the Keytruda. Okay, back. It's the next day in August 2023. Again, keep editing this video, and then I find that I've stopped because I've ran out of time, and there's gaps in stories everywhere, and I can't find the videos, whether there are videos that tell the gaps, and I just thought it's quicker to just do this. But I'm also aware this is getting to be a very long video, and I think I'll just do it in the one part, because I know when I watch other people's videos, if I go back to the start story, then yep, I'm always just looking for the next one. So we'll do it nice and long, and if you have hung in there, well, I know you're a true friend, so thank you. Yep, so I was up to Keytruda, so new immunotherapy, started working. I had to, I think I've told you, it cost me 60 grand. Ouch. Started working, then had some more progression in the lungs, got stereotactic radiation. The radiation was really good at freezing those spots in the lungs, and I felt like the Keytruda was stopping any further spread. So we were going well for a time, and I'm getting murky with the details, but I think around, must have been the end of 2020, I went on chemo again. I've had chemo 3 times now. I lost my hair 3 times. Doesn't get any easier every time it happens. Here's my computer that I've been editing on, and I'm just really wanting to get this finished. I'm just going to put that down. Yep, so had chemo a second time. Then it seemed to, followed up by radiation, 2021. That's all documented over at Caitlin's Happy Heart, my stint with radiation. Then it really stayed stable for a good 18 months, and September last year I had to do chemo for the 3rd time. And yeah, that's kind of brought me up to what I said in one of my earlier videos is I find radiation is better than chemo, only in terms of radiation tends to, like if chemo's got it all stable and then a little bit of cancer growth happens that I'm able to deal with it with radiation, the radiation seems to, it stays stable after radiation. Whereas I have found every time chemo, it responds to chemo, and then as soon as I stop chemo, it starts growing again. And you can't just continually do chemo, it's too hard on your body. Now, the problem with my last lot of chemo that finished this year, 2023, we got to the halfway mark, it was doing what it normally does, it was responding to the chemo, and then when we scanned again, it had not changed at all. It had just stayed the same as when it was at the halfway mark. So that was a real shock, because I mean, I'd done another 3 weeks of more chemo. My blood levels, I was constantly needing blood transfusions in the last chemo. My body just wasn't dealing as well with the chemo, so you kind of want results from that, and the results, my oncologist counted as a win because we were staying stable, but of course as soon as we started growing again. I did more radiation this year, more hits to the hip pocket. The good thing is I've hit the Medicare safety net now, so everything is a little bit easier until the end of the year when it clocks over, but at the moment Medicare pays for 90% of anything that I can charge on Medicare, but then there's a whole heap I can't charge on Medicare, like physio, which is being really useful at the moment, but having to have, anyway, you don't want to hear about all this, but yep, I'm having to claim it on my private health, and they don't give too much back, but every bit helps. So yeah, radiation, and I haven't had a scan since that radiation. And I've got some videos that I've recorded last week where things are starting to get a bit rough again. Just prior to these last couple of weeks, I had done, so shortly after radiation, I had done I got some pain and whatever happening, and I went in got a CT scan, and then followed up by a PET. Oh, that was preceding the radiation, that's right. Yeah, so I feel like I'm going so quickly now that I'm really hard to listen to. Yep, so I had fluid on the lungs, I had increased growth, and that's what we were going to radiate, and then we were going to get a lung biopsy, and then we were going to drain the lungs. And I feel it was miraculous that the fluid just disappeared off the lungs. So that was one thing less I had to do. I had to get a biopsy. Also miraculous was there was a trial in South Australia that ended up covering for that biopsy. We found out that unfortunately the biopsy was to see whether I could fit into any of their trials. I couldn't. It wouldn't. They couldn't do anything for my tumour type from the genomic testing that they did. But at least it saved me $4,000, and it wasn't a wasted test because they found out that I've got a gene, or my oncologist did when he read the report, that I've got a gene called an AKT3 gene, which actually sucky gene to have because it makes cancer progress. So that's what I think we're seeing at the moment, that we hit it with everything. And normally Thymic Carcinoma is good at responding to stuff, and if you keep up with it, it just kind of, I had one radiation oncologist saying it just kind of grumbles along. Of course, it still gets you in the end, but I'm praying that doesn't happen. But at the moment, it's not grumbling along. The freight train is starting to roar, and that would probably be the AKT3 gene. I believe that there might be something overseas, but that's not accessible here in Australia. Might be something that we'll have to investigate, but for the moment there are some trials happening that might be dealing with the AKT3 gene, so I'm trying to get into that. But anyway, I've got more videos about that next week, so just waiting. Okay, I was dressed a lot more daggy. This is present Caitlin again. I'm going on a date with my husband tonight. We have had a pretty crappy week actually with cancer stuff, and I won't update you on all of that because I think the update up till now has been rather long because it's 6 years of cancer journey, and so I think that's enough for one video. And I was making videos during the week, so I will endeavour to get them edited and up soon and explain where we are up to in the present. Things are complex again. So anyway, you'll see me and probably some tears. I'm just hoping that, you do log on. So hit the subscribe button or the notification button and the bell or whatever you have to do to hear the next part of the story. But as for now, you ready, Alex?
Let's go.
Okay, come and say hello. Oh, I didn't press the ringy thing that Trent had. Look, let's set this up.
Hello.
Okay, we're off. Look, he's got a button.